Hello and welcome to Unlimited Box. From iPhones to iPads and iMacs, Apple is the biggest tech company in the world. In this video, we'll show you 14 facts about Apple that might surprise you. Number 14. The iPhone might have been called Telepod or Mobi. According to a latest report, Apple had many other names before it decided to call its smartphone the iPhone. Apple considered calling the device Telepod because it sounded like a futuristic twist to the word telephone. Apple had also thought of naming its smartphone Mobi, a shortened version of the word mobile. While the iPad ended up being the name for Apple's tablet PC, the name was first considered to be used for the smartphone. Can you imagine a world where your iPhone was called Telepod? Number 13. After Steve Jobs was forced to resign as chairman in 1986, the company launched the Apple Collection. This was a line of Apple-branded clothing, accessories, and lifestyle items. Because nothing says "I love my Mac" more than a $1,000 t-shirt. Of course, the line was shortly discontinued. Number 12. The Apple QuickTake. In the 90s, facing shrinking Mac sales, Apple tried making everything from, as you already learned, clothes to digital cameras, like the Apple QuickTake. The Apple QuickTake is one of the first consumer digital camera lines. It was launched in 1994 by Apple Computer and was marketed for 3 years before being discontinued in 1997. Number 11. The Philips iPod. The creator of the iPod first offered the idea to Philips and Real Networks, but they failed to see its potential, so it went to Apple. Number 10. Apple tried to take on PlayStation. Apple had lots of failed products in its time, and that includes the huge mistake called Pippin. The company wanted to create a console that also works as a network computer. It ran on Mac OS 7, which required the controller to have a mouse trackball. Its poor performance contributed to the low sales, and it was discontinued within a year. It didn't help that it costs $600, around $1,000 in today's money, while its much more powerful rivals were cheaper, such as the original PlayStation that sold for $300. Number 9. Apple earned more than Amazon. In 2014, Apple earned more than Google, Facebook, and Amazon combined. Number 8. The first Apple logo featured Isaac Newton. Apple's logo has not always been a beaten apple. The first logo was designed by Ronald Wayne, the other co-founder, in 1976. The first logo featured a detailed drawing of Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree from which an apple is about to fall on its head. The logo even had a scenery in the background and a book in Newton's hands. Ribbon ornaments around the picture frame where the words Apple Computer Co. were inscribed. On the edge of the frame itself was a quote that read, "Newton, a mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought alone." The company eventually deemed it too detailed to work on small prints, and so it was changed. Number 7. Smoking near an Apple computer will void the warranty. Numerous reports indicated that Apple stores will not honor the warranty if they deem the computer to be contaminated, containing tar from smoking near it. Even if the owner has Apple Care, Apple would not repair the computer due to risks of second-hand smoke, and as Apple put it, nicotine is a dangerous substance and therefore they cannot force an Apple employee to repair or to work on a computer system that was contaminated with it. Number 6. Make the iPod smaller. When the first prototype of Apple's iPod was shown to Steve Jobs, he dropped it in an aquarium and used the air bubbles to prove that there was empty space and it should be made smaller. Number 5. Where does the Macintosh name came from? Apple launched many products before the Macintosh, which eventually led Apple to the ultra-successful line of computers we know today. It was in 1984 when the company ditched the Apple branding of its computers after Apple III to use the name Macintosh. The new name did not stray away from the theme, however, as it was named after a variety of apples. The Macintosh, or Mac, was the favorite apple of Jeff Raskin, the computer scientist that started the Macintosh project. There was clearly something in the name that stuck, or it was Raskin's vision of creating an easy-to-use computer. Number 4. iTunes and nuclear weapons. If you use iTunes, you already agreed not to use Apple products to create nuclear weapons. Number 3. Apple gets its iPhone and iPad components from its rivals like Samsung. Apple's products are always against the South Korean company Samsung, which is perhaps its biggest rival in the mobile scene. However, Samsung is actually one of Apple's biggest suppliers, with the other one being LG, another South Korean tech company. This year alone, Samsung will be the primary supplier for the OLED panels for the new iPhone. Meanwhile, LG will supply the OLED panels for the other iPhone variants. Samsung makes around 30% of the chips that go into Apple's iPhone. Number 2. The iPod name. Did you know that the person who gave the iPod its name wasn't even an Apple employee? He was a freelance copywriter and suggested the name iPod because he was inspired by the line in the movie 2001 A Space Odyssey. Open the pathway, door, hell. Number 1. Siri was supposed to be for Android phones. Ask Siri where she was born and she'll say that she was designed by Apple in California, but that's only half the truth. She almost belonged on Android phones. The brains behind this voice-activated personal assistant had signed a deal with an American carrier in the fall of 2009. The goal was to make Siri a default app of all the carrier's Android smartphones, which of course are powered by Apple's rival Google. Apple, seeing the potential in Siri, didn't just make a counteroffer, it bought Siri. And this ensured exclusivity and killed any hope for Siri in Android phones. Thanks for watching and please subscribe if you like this video.